Hello everyone, welcome to Marine Tech Hub by Venkat. Today's topic is certificates that are carried on board, that is, ship certificates. Let's get into the video. In this video, we will be discussing the certificates that are carried on board a merchant vessel. It's a very important topic to discuss for competency oral exams. Okay, let's see one by one. First is the Certificate of Registry. This is the trading certificate issued to the ship by the flag state. This certificate defines the nationality of the ship, that is, the port of registry. Name and address of the ship owner mentioned in this certificate. Next is the International Tonnage Certificate. This certificate is issued to a ship owner by a government department in the case of a ship whose gross and net tonnages have been determined in accordance with the International Convention of Tonnage, measurement of ships. This certificate is issued by the administration, that is the flag state, or by the recognized organization. Next is the International Load Line Certificate. This certificate gives the detail of the load lines of the vessel. In simple words, from this certificate we can get the following information. Draft corresponding to each load line, for example, summer load line draft, tropical load line draft, etc. The certificate is issued after load lines are assigned to the vessel. The Load Line Convention 1966 requires each ship to maintain a minimum freeboard. Checking and verification becomes the basis of annual endorsement and renewal of load line certificate. This certificate is valid for 5 years from the date of issue and it requires annual endorsement on the certificate. Next is the Certificate of Classification. Class always deals with hull and machinery. Class is assigned to a vessel upon the completion of satisfactory review of the design and surveys during construction undertaken in order to verify compliance with the rules of the society. Then a certificate of classification bearing the class notations assigned to the ship and an expiry date is issued to all classed ships. Next is the derating or derating exemption certificate. This certificate is issued to vessels in the form described by the International Health Regulations, recording the findings after inspection and derating measures applied to the vessel. This certificate is valid for 6 months from the date of issue. Next is the International Safety Management Certificate. This certificate is issued in accordance with SOLAS Chapter 9, Regulation 4 and ISM Code Chapter 13. It means a document issued to a ship which signifies that the company and its shipboard management operate in accordance with the approved SMS under ISM code. Next is the Passenger Ship Safety Certificate. It is a SOLAS requirement and is basically a 3-in-1 safety certificate like safety construction, safety equipment and safety radio, covering the requirements of SOLAS Chapter 2, 3 and 4. Next is the Cargo Ship Safety Construction Certificate. This certificate shall be issued after survey to a cargo ship of 500 GRT and above, which satisfies the requirements for cargo ships on set out in SOLAS Chapter 1, Regulation 10 and Chapters 2.1 and 2.2. Validity of this certificate is not exceeding 5 years from the date of issue, and this certificate is issued by the administration. Next is the Cargo Ship Safety Equipment Certificate. This certificate shall be issued after survey to a cargo ship of 500 GRT and above, which complies with the relevant requirements of SOLAS Chapter 1, Regulation 12 and Chapter 2.1, 2.2 and 3. Validity of this certificate not exceeding 5 years from the date of issue, and this certificate is issued by the administration. Next is the Cargo Ship Safety Radio Certificate. This certificate shall be issued after survey to a cargo ship of 300 GRT and above, fitted with a radio installation which complies with the requirements of Chapter 3 and Chapter 4 of SOLAS. Next is the Minimum Safe Manning Certificate. This certificate is issued in accordance with SOLAS Chapter 5, Regulation 14.2. Every ship to which Chapter 1 of the Convention applies shall be provided with an appropriate safe manning certificate issued by the administration as evidence of the minimum safe manning. Next is the certificate of insurance or other financial security in respect of civil liability for oil pollution damage. This certificate attesting that insurance or other financial security is in force shall be issued to each ship carrying more than 2000 tons of oil in bulk as cargo. This certificate shall be issued or certified by the appropriate authority of the state of the ship's registry after determining that the requirements of the CLC Convention, that is, Civil Liability for Oil Pollution Damage, have been complied with. Next is the document of compliance with the special requirement for ships carrying dangerous goods. The administration shall provide the ship with an appropriate document as evidence of compliance of construction and equipment with the requirements of SOLAS Chapter 2.2 Regulation 19. Next is the document of authorization for the carriage of grain. This certificate is required by SOLAS Chapter 6 Safety of Cargoes. A cargo ship carrying grain shall comply with the requirements of the International Grain Code and hold a document of authorization as required by that code. Next is the International Certificate of Fitness for the Carriage of Dangerous Chemicals in Bulk. This certificate is issued after an initial or periodical survey to a chemical tanker engaged in international waters as per International Bulk Chemical Code. This code is mandatory under both Chapter 7 of SOLAS and Annex 2 of MARPOL for chemical tankers constructed on or after 1st July 1986. Next is the International Certificate of Fitness for the Carriage of Liquefied Gases in Bulk. This certificate is issued after an initial or periodical survey to a gas carrier which complies International Gas Carrier Code. The code is mandatory under Chapter 7 of SOLAS for gas carriers constructed on or after July 1986. Next is the International Certificate of Fitness for the Carriage of INF Cargo. A ship carrying INF cargo, that is, irradiated nuclear fuel like plutonium and high-level radioactive waste on board, should comply with INF Code and SOLAS Chapter 7, Regulation 16. This shall be surveyed and be provided with this certificate once the survey is clear. Next is the document of compliance. A document of compliance shall be issued to every company which complies with the requirements of ISM code. A copy of the document of compliance shall be kept on board. Next is the International Ship Security Certificate. This certificate shall be issued to every ship by the administration or by RO, recognized organization, after verifying that the ship complies with the maritime security provisions of SOLAS Chapter 11.2 and Part A of ISPS Code. Next is the IOPPC, that is the International Oil Pollution Prevention Certificate. An International Oil Pollution Prevention Certificate shall be issued after initial or periodical survey in accordance with Regulation 4 of Annex 1 of MARPOL. Next is the International Pollution Prevention Certificate for Carriage of Noxious Liquid Substances in Bulk. This certificate shall be issued after survey in accordance with the provisions of Regulation 10 of Annex 2 of MARPOL to any ship carrying noxious liquid substances in bulk and which is engaged in voyages to ports or terminals. Next is the International Sewage Pollution Prevention Certificate. This certificate shall be issued after an initial or renewal survey in accordance with the provision of Regulation 4 of Annex 4 of MARPOL. Next is the International Air Pollution Prevention Certificate. This certificate is issued by administration after the initial or periodical survey in accordance with the provisions of Regulation 9 of Annex 6 of MARPOL. Next is the Indian International Air Pollution Prevention Certificate. This certificate is issued for each engine showing that the NOx level complies with the Regulation 13 of Annex 6 of MARPOL. Next is the International Energy Efficiency Certificate. It is a newly introduced certificate that is mandatory for all vessels of 400 GRT and above. It does not have an expiry date. Next is the certificates for masters, officers or ratings. This shall be issued to those candidates who, to the satisfaction of the administration, meet the requirements for service, age, medical fitness, training qualifications, and examinations in accordance with the STCW code. Certificates must be kept available in their original form on board the ships on which the holder is serving. Next is the International Anti-Fouling System Certificate. The International Convention on the Control of Harmful Anti-Fouling Systems on Ships, which was adopted on 5th October 2001, will prohibit the use of harmful organotin compounds in anti-fouling paints used on ships. After initial survey, International Anti-Fouling System Certificate is issued for the first time. Next is the International Ballast Water Management Certificate. This certificate is required under the International Convention for the Control and Management of Ships' Ballast Water and Sediments. Next is the Ship Sanitation Control Exemption Certificate. Ship Sanitation Control Exemption certificates are issued to vessels that have been passed flying fish that verifies that the ship is free of animal vectors, potential disease reservoirs, or ill humans. This certificate is valid for 6 months from the date of issue. Next is the Certificate of Financial Responsibility. This program was created to ensure that tankers, barges and other vessels used to transport oil and chemical-based products in US should bear an ensuing cleanup cost from spills or leaks. Validity of this certificate not exceeding 2 years from the date of issue, and the certificate is required only when vessel enters US waters or trading in US waters. So, we have discussed all the certificates that are carried on board a merchant vessel. I hope it will be a useful one. If you have any doubts, raise it in the comment section. Thanks for watching this video up to the very end. We'll see you all in next video. Until then, take care. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, like it, share it, subscribe the channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon.